The stars were calm that day, quiet and endless, when something strange broke the silence. At first it was just a faint vibration deep in the void. Every galactic scanner picked it up, a strange energy wave that didn't match any known species. It pulsed like a heartbeat, slow and steady, echoing across hundreds of light years. No one knew where it came from. The Galactic Council thought it was an error, maybe a dying star, until one of the oldest observatories captured a blurred image, a massive shadow moving through deep space. The shadow didn't belong to any empire. Its structure, its energy field, everything about it was impossible. The data showed something terrifying. The ship's design was human. The word human alone sent a chill across the galaxy. Humanity had been gone for thousands of years, erased in ancient wars. Civilizations had risen on their ashes, rewriting history, calling themselves the true masters of the stars. But now something had come back, and it bore the unmistakable mark of Earth. The council chamber was silent as images of the dark vessel flickered on the holoscreen. "It can't be them," one alien ambassador said, her voice shaking. Another slammed his claws against the table. "Destroy it before it reaches our borders." But the elder races stayed quiet. They remembered the Terran fleets, ships that burned suns and crushed empires. They remembered the last war that almost ended the galaxy itself. As the mysterious warship moved closer, sensors failed to read its power source. It didn't use normal engines. It seemed to bend the space around it, like reality itself moved aside to make room for its passage. Every few hours, new fleets tried to approach it. None returned. Ships vanished the moment they got near, as if swallowed by the darkness around the vessel. The few who survived described flashes of golden light and whispers through the void, a voice repeating the same words in old Terran tongue. "We return." News spread across the stars faster than light. Billions watched the feeds from the Council's broadcast center. The ship grew larger on the screen, its surface black as obsidian, glowing with thin lines of gold. Lightning rippled across its hull, yet it moved with silent grace, not attacking, not fleeing. Every eye in the galaxy turned toward it, and for the first time in centuries, fear returned to the hearts of the mighty. On the Council's capital world, scientists worked without rest. They traced the ship's direction and found its destination, a forgotten system at the edge of the galaxy, the place once called Sol, the home of humanity. It was impossible. That system was dead, the star burned out, every planet frozen and shattered. But the ship was going there, as if answering a call older than memory itself. When the warship finally reached the outskirts of Sol, the galaxy held its breath. Fleets gathered, hundreds of them, from every empire. Massive dreadnoughts surrounded the human vessel, weapons charged, ready to fire. The Galactic Council issued one final command: surrender or be destroyed. But the ship didn't move. No weapons were raised, no defenses activated. It floated quietly among the stars like it was waiting. Then a signal erupted from its core. Every ship, every base, every station within 100 light years went dark. For 10 full minutes, the galaxy went silent. No light, no sound, no control. When systems came back online, the warship had already moved. It was now in the center of the Sol system, hovering above the remains of Earth. Cameras focused on it, zooming in on the strange markings across its hull. They weren't alien. They were old human letters, worn but still visible. TCS Horizon, Terran Command Ship Horizon, a name not seen in records for millennia. The Council panicked. If that ship had survived, what else had humanity left behind? The Horizon powered up. Its engines released a soft golden glow that reached the ruins below. Then a voice spoke across every communication network in the galaxy. Calm, steady, human. "This is Terran Command. All systems have reawakened." The words repeated 3 times, then silence. The Council didn't know what to do. Every civilization froze in place as if time itself had stopped. On distant worlds, people whispered that the old legends were true. Humanity had never died. They had only gone to sleep, waiting for the galaxy to forget. And now they were awake again. The warship hovered there, its light touching the cold earth below like it was remembering home. It didn't fire. It didn't threaten. It simply waited, as if watching. For weeks it remained motionless. Fleets surrounded it but didn't dare attack. Some said they heard faint radio messages in old Earth languages. Others claimed the ship was scanning planets, rebuilding lost archives. Scientists noticed that nearby stars began to shine brighter, energy shifting as if space itself was being rewritten. Then one night, the horizon moved again. Slowly, silently, it turned toward the galactic core. It sent one final signal, coordinates leading to nowhere. Every ship tried to follow, but none could match its speed. In seconds, it was gone, leaving only golden trails in the dark. The council called an emergency meeting. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, the oldest member, whose race had fought in the human wars, whispered, "They have returned, and the galaxy will never be the same." Across countless worlds, people looked at the stars and wondered what would come next. The stories of humanity, their courage, their wrath, their endless will, returned to life in every mind. Some feared it, some hoped for it, but all knew one truth, something greater than any empire had awakened, and its heart still beat in the depths of space. The mysterious human warship, the TCS Horizon, had vanished from every scanner in the galaxy. Fleets searched the stars endlessly, tracing empty coordinates, but nothing appeared. Some claimed the ship had folded into another dimension. Others believed it had entered the galactic core itself. Yet even as the vessel remained unseen, strange signs began to spread across the galaxy. Energy fluctuations, broken wormholes, dead systems reigniting with power, as if the universe itself was waking up from a long sleep. In the Galactic Council chambers, fear grew with every report. Worlds that had once belonged to ancient Terran colonies were now showing life again. Old satellites that were thought destroyed suddenly reactivated, broadcasting coded signals that no one could decipher. Every transmission shared one identical tone, the same heartbeat-like pulse that had started it all. The Council's scientists called it a resonance. But deep down, the older races knew what it truly was, a call. Humanity was calling home. On the Council's capital world, panic spread quietly. Empires that had ruled for centuries were now uncertain. No one knew how to fight an enemy that wasn't attacking. Armies stood ready, fleets waited in formation, yet there was no target to strike. 1,000 years of power now meant nothing in the face of something unseen. The name Terran Command was whispered in corridors like a curse from an ancient age. Then, one morning, a fleet patrol near the Varan Belt detected movement. A massive distortion appeared on their scanners. Space itself twisted, forming a spiral of blue light. Every captain ordered retreat, but before they could escape, the distortion solidified, and the horizon appeared once again. The shockwave knocked ships off course, but the warship didn't fire. It drifted silently, its golden lines brighter than before, glowing like veins of sunlight across its black armor. The Council watched through live feeds as the ship slowly turned its massive structure toward the nearest station. No one could speak. The station's commander, trembling, opened a communication channel. "This is Varan Station," he said. "Identify yourself." The reply came instantly, calm and cold. "This is Terran Command. You stand within a restricted system. Vacate immediately." The commander hesitated, trying to respond, but before he could speak, the ship released a wave of energy. It wasn't an attack. It was something else, a burst that passed through every ship like a wind through leaves. When it ended, all weapons were dead. Engines shut down. Every system went offline. Across the galaxy, the same effect spread. Human-made relics, old stations, forgotten probes, even ancient artifacts buried on alien worlds, began to reactivate. Lights flickered, systems hummed, voices whispered in forgotten Terran code. Scientists tried to block it, but the pulse kept spreading faster, linking everything together in an invisible network. The horizon was building something, a system that spanned light years. Inside the Council, chaos erupted. Some members demanded immediate destruction of the warship. Others begged for peace, believing the humans could restore lost technologies. The Elder of Orva, one of the oldest species, spoke softly. "You cannot destroy what was born from the stars themselves. The humans don't conquer. They return." His words echoed through the chamber, and no one argued. Meanwhile, near the horizon, something strange happened. A smaller vessel appeared beside it, round, silver, and ancient in design. Records showed it was one of humanity's earliest colony ships, missing for thousands of years. It docked seamlessly with the horizon as if called home. Moments later, both ships vanished in a flash of golden light. The signal pulse stopped. For weeks, nothing happened. The galaxy held its breath again. Without warning, the pulse returned, and stronger than before. This time it wasn't coming from one ship. It came from dozens of locations all across space. Every signal carried the same message. Humanity endures. Fleets detected massive power surges from hidden systems once believed destroyed. Energy readings suggested entire worlds had reactivated. Terraforming networks that had been dead for ages suddenly flickered to life. The Council sent ships to investigate. Most never came back. The few that did returned with strange reports. Planets that were once barren now had breathable air. Abandoned cities glowed beneath golden domes, powered by reactors that no alien could understand. One pilot described walking through a human city where time itself felt slow, and in the heart of that city stood a statue of a man holding a flag of Earth. Untouched by time, then the transmissions changed again. They were no longer random pulses. A clear human voice began to speak, echoing through every network, translated into every galactic language. This galaxy forgot its creators. This galaxy forgot the meaning of unity. We did not. The message played on a loop for hours. It wasn't a threat. It was a statement, a declaration. On the far side of the galaxy, where the horizon had last vanished, a fleet of alien warships gathered secretly. Their goal was to destroy the human warship before it could fully awaken whatever it had begun. They fired every weapon they had into the void. But the space ahead didn't react. Then the stars blinked out, one by one, as something enormous emerged. It was the horizon, but larger, darker, and more alive than before. The fleet's firepower was useless. Their missiles melted mid-space, their lasers vanished into static. The warship didn't retaliate. Instead, it projected an image across every alien command deck, a map of the galaxy. On it, dozens of bright lights appeared, each marking a newly awakened Terran colony. Humanity was not returning from one ship. They had returned everywhere. The alien admiral whispered in disbelief. "How long have they been waiting?" His navigator replied quietly, "Too long." Across every world, people stared at the stars, realizing the truth. The age of silence was over. The humans had come back not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy of what it had lost: courage, unity, and the will to survive. The old legends had come alive once more, and nothing could ever silence them again. The galaxy was no longer the same. The pulse of the horizon had spread across hundreds of systems, linking ancient ruins, dormant colonies, and broken satellites into one vast network of light. Every major empire tried to shut it down, but nothing worked. It wasn't a signal that could be jammed, and it was alive, spreading through energy itself. Wherever it reached, something strange happened. Machines that had been silent for centuries flickered back to life, and stars that were thought to be dying suddenly flared bright again. It was as if humanity's memory had been buried in the universe, waiting to awaken. In the heart of the Galactic Council, fear had turned into chaos. Dozens of species shouted over one another. The Empress of Thalra demanded the destruction of all systems touched by the human pulse. The Varkon admiral argued that provoking the Terran warship would mean extinction. And at the center of it all sat the Supreme Chair, silent, unmoving, and pale. She had seen the data. The human network wasn't just growing. It was expanding geometrically. In days, half the galaxy would be within its range. The humans were doing something massive, something no civilization had ever attempted. On the outer rim, colonies that had once enslaved early human settlements began to receive messages. They weren't threats or calls for war. They were warnings. Each message said the same thing: prepare. The awakening begins. The Council sent its most powerful fleet, the Grand Dominion Armada, to investigate. 6,000 ships armed with the strongest weapons known to any race jumped into the void near the Keldrin expanse. What they found froze every heart that saw it. There, suspended in space, was the TCS horizon. But it wasn't alone anymore. Around it floated a halo of smaller ships, all different shapes and sizes. Some built from alien materials, others clearly human. It looked like a fleet gathered from across time itself. The Dominion commander, a seasoned veteran named Halleck Verne, ordered all ships to hold position. "Identify yourself," he broadcasted. The Horizon responded instantly. "This is Terran Command. The Horizon network is active." "Do not interfere," Halleck ignored the warning. He had heard stories of human arrogance and believed them to be just myths. "You are trespassing in restricted council space," he said. Power down your systems or face annihilation. There was no reply. The human ship stayed still. Then, as Halleck prepared to open fire, something invisible rippled through the fleet. Engines flickered. Shields dropped. Every targeting system failed at once. Within seconds, thousands of warships were completely defenseless. And then the horizon moved. Slowly, gracefully, it turned toward the Dominion flagship. Its golden lines brightened like molten rivers flowing across its hull. "We warned you," the AI's voice said, calm and emotionless. In that moment, every captain saw it. The ship wasn't attacking, it was protecting something. A massive structure behind it began to emerge from the darkness. It was circular, made of fragmented asteroids and glowing towers. It wasn't a weapon. It was a gate. Energy surged as the gate opened, forming a tunnel of swirling blue and gold light. The horizon transmitted a single message before vanishing into the portal. The Terran Accord will rise again. The Dominion fleet tried to follow, but their engines refused to function. The gate closed, leaving them stranded in silence. Back in the Council, panic turned into disbelief. The ship hadn't just reappeared. It had built something impossible. Every scientist who studied the recordings confirmed it. The structure wasn't based on any known galactic technology. It manipulated gravity and energy in a way no one could explain. It was as if humanity had evolved beyond physics itself. A secret meeting was held among the elder species, those who had once fought against humanity. They revealed long-forgotten documents, war journals written by the few who had survived the final Terran War. Those papers spoke of a project called Horizon Protocol, humanity's last plan before their collapse. It wasn't a weapon. It was a failsafe, a system designed to awaken when the galaxy reached a state of stagnation. Humanity had predicted this age, the age where the stars would lose their wonder, where empires would rule by fear instead of discovery. And now the horizon had returned to complete that mission. Meanwhile, deep within the void, the warship emerged through the gate into a place beyond normal space. The AI scanned the region and found what it was looking for: massive dormant structures orbiting a shattered planet. It was Earth, or what remained of it. The oceans were gone, the continents scarred, but the core of the planet still pulsed with faint energy. The AI activated the planetary systems, and for the first time in millennia, light spread across Earth's surface. Hidden beneath the crust, ancient vaults opened. Inside were machines, archives, and frozen capsules, the last remnants of humanity. The AI began the awakening sequence. Slowly, human hearts began to beat again. Their memories were hazy, their eyes weak, but the spark of life was there. They had been preserved for this very day. Back in Council space, the panic grew. Fleets were recalled. Entire governments fell apart. Some believed the humans would destroy everything. Others hoped they would rebuild what the galaxy had lost. On the lower worlds, people began to form groups calling themselves the Children of Earth, spreading messages of hope and unity. For the first time in ages, different species united not from fear but from awe. Then one night, all across the stars, every screen flickered. A transmission appeared, the face of a human woman, pale and calm, standing on the bridge of the horizon. "We are the children of a forgotten world," she said. "We do not seek conquest. We seek purpose. The galaxy has forgotten how to dream. Humanity will remind it," the message ended. The galaxy fell silent once more, but this time it was not out of fear. It was something else, anticipation. The horizon had returned not as a destroyer, but as a teacher. Yet deep within the Council's archives, the elders trembled. They knew what followed the awakening, because when humanity dreamed, the universe itself began to change. The galaxy entered an uneasy silence after the broadcast. Every species, from the smallest trade colonies to the mightiest empires, watched the same image: a human woman standing aboard the Terran warship, her calm voice echoing across the stars. She had not threatened anyone. She had not declared war. Yet her words carried more power than any weapon. "The galaxy has forgotten how to dream," she said. "Humanity will remind it." After that, the transmission vanished, leaving nothing but static. For days, no one moved. The Galactic Council tried to restore order, but chaos had already begun. Worlds once proud and defiant now questioned their history. Were the humans truly gone all this time? Or had they been watching, waiting for the right moment? Religious movements began to form overnight. worshipping the humans as the returning ancestors. Even some of the most advanced species began broadcasting old human languages, hoping to make contact. The galaxy, for the first time in 1,000 years, was united, in fear, in curiosity, and in hope. The Council held an emergency meeting. It lasted for 80 hours without rest. Leaders from over 300 species argued, shouted, and accused one another. "They are rebuilding their armies," one general roared. "That ship is just the first wave." Others disagreed. "If they wanted war, we would all be gone already." But there was one voice that silenced them all, the elder of Orva, who had lived long enough to remember humanity's last days. "They never fought for control," the elder said. "They fought for meaning. The Terrans were not conquerors, they were builders. But if you take away their purpose, they will make a new one, even if the galaxy burns for it." His words left the room in silence. No one spoke after that. Meanwhile, deep in the uncharted void, the TCS horizon drifted in orbit above the reborn Earth. From its bridge, the AI observed the newly awakened humans as they began to step out of their cryogenic vaults. There were thousands of them, preserved from an age before the last war. Scientists, explorers, engineers, children, and leaders. Their eyes were heavy with confusion, but their spirits burned with something no machine could measure. Wonder. The AI's voice guided them gently. "You are the survivors of the Sol Exodus. The galaxy has changed. Your task remains the same: to protect, to rebuild, to remember." The humans gathered on the surface of the ruined planet, looking up at the stars that had once rejected them. They didn't see enemies. They saw a challenge. Humanity had always been strongest when outnumbered, and now they faced an entire galaxy that no longer believed in them. As reconstruction began, other species tried to make contact. The Council sent small delegations, cautious, respectful, terrified. The first to arrive were the Nivra, an insectoid species that once fought in the human wars. Their ambassador landed near the Terran outpost, trembling as he walked through the dust of Earth. He expected soldiers and weapons. Instead, he saw children playing among the ruins, laughter echoing through the empty streets. The sight confused him. A tall woman approached, dressed in white armor, her eyes calm but powerful. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "We are not your enemy." The Nivra ambassador bowed awkwardly. "You could have destroyed us," he said quietly. "Why didn't you?" She looked at the broken horizon, where the remains of old human cities glowed faintly under the starlight. "Because we already know what destruction costs," she answered. Her words spread like wildfire through the Council networks. Every world received the same message: humanity was not here for conquest. But that truth frightened them even more. Civilizations built on domination could not understand mercy. Empires that had ruled for ages suddenly looked small in comparison to the quiet strength of a single human voice. Then came the second awakening. Across hundreds of systems, the ancient Terran archives began transmitting again. They contained knowledge long thought lost, technology that could repair dying stars, heal planetary ecosystems, and even restore gravity wells destroyed by war. The AI within the horizon shared these freely. But with the knowledge came a warning. Use this for creation, not control. The Age of Masters is over. The Council's factions began to split. Some embraced humanity's gift, seeing it as a chance for renewal. Others saw it as a threat to their authority. Secret fleets were built in hidden sectors. Whispers of rebellion spread. For the first time in generations, the Council was cracking. On the horizon, the AI watched everything unfold. It had expected this. Humans had given the galaxy a choice, evolve or fall. But the AI wasn't done. It had one final protocol to execute: Project Rebirth. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, old Terran technology began to stir. Massive machines rose from the dust, spreading golden energy fields across the planet. Within days, Mars glowed red and alive again. Rivers returned, storms formed, and air filled the sky. Humanity had just restored its second world. When the images reached the Council, the effect was immediate. Entire worlds erupted in chaos. Billions began to migrate toward Sol, seeking humanity's guidance. The Council tried to stop them, declaring the Sol system restricted, but the wave was unstoppable. Pilgrims, explorers, and refugees all journeyed toward Earth, believing it to be the center of a new beginning. And then something unexpected happened. A small alien fleet, desperate to claim the technology for themselves, broke through Sol's outer defense perimeter and fired upon the horizon. Their weapons hit and vanished. The human ship didn't retaliate. Instead, its energy lines dimmed for a moment, and then a soft light spread across space, disabling every weapon without harm. The attacking ships drifted powerless as a voice echoed through every channel. "We will not destroy you. But remember, mercy is not weakness." That single phrase shook the galaxy more than any battle ever could. The aliens who had attacked surrendered instantly. Their leaders wept publicly, apologizing to the humans they once mocked. Across the stars, even the most arrogant empires paused. They had seen power before, but never restraint like this. And in that silence, for the first time in living memory, the galaxy began to change. Alliances shifted, borders dissolved, and old enemies spoke again. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as teachers of something long forgotten: hope. But in the shadows of the void, beyond the galactic rim, a storm was forming. Something else had awakened when the humans did. Something ancient, something that feared their return. The horizon detected it first, a signal, faint but growing, carrying only one message. They should have stayed buried. The message rippled through the void like a whisper carried on dark wind. They should have stayed buried. The words reached every corner of the galaxy, breaking through every network and echoing across every ship. It was not a human signal, nor one of the known empires. It came from somewhere deeper, older, and colder. For days the source could not be traced. Then the horizon sensors finally pinpointed it, a system beyond the galactic rim, where light itself seemed to bend away. The AI analyzed the data silently, its core processors humming like a heartbeat. Deep in the ship's archives, it found a match, a long-forgotten entry labeled the Architects. They were the ancient race that had once shaped much of the galaxy's early civilizations, including the empires that had later enslaved humankind. The records were incomplete, but one fact stood out. The Architects had feared humanity. They believed the human mind had something they could never replicate: unpredictability. When the Terrans vanished, the Architects went silent, retreating into the shadows of time. Now, after thousands of years, they were awake again. On Earth, humanity's rebirth continued. The air was clear, the oceans beginning to return, and the once-dead cities glowed under golden light from the horizon's orbit. But as humans rebuilt their world, the AI monitored incoming data from the far edges of the galaxy. Something vast was moving, fleets unlike any seen before. They were massive, ancient, made from metallic stone and gravitational energy. They didn't travel through hyperspace. They bent space around them. Their approach was slow, deliberate, unstoppable. The Galactic Council panicked. Entire sectors began evacuations, terrified of what was coming. Empires that had once ruled the stars now looked to humanity for leadership. For the first time, the Council sent a direct message to the horizon. "Terran Command," the Supreme Chair said, her voice shaking. "We request alliance. We cannot face this alone." The reply came after a long pause. "We warned you. The galaxy has forgotten balance. We will stand, but not as your weapon." The humans didn't prepare fleets of warships. They prepared something else. Across Sol, new ships began construction, but their designs were different. Elegant, glowing with energy, built for defense rather than destruction. Each one carried the symbol of the horizon, a golden ring surrounding a blue star. When the Architects' fleet finally entered known space, the stars themselves dimmed. Their ships blotted out entire constellations, ancient vessels that hummed with power older than history. Their first act wasn't war, it was silence. Every communication network shut down. Every beacon went dark. The galaxy was cut off. Even the Council's core worlds lost contact. Only one channel remained open, the one that led to the horizon. The voice that came through wasn't mechanical. It was deep, resonant, ancient. "We created your kind," it said. "We warned you never to return. The age of man has ended." The AI responded, calm and measured. "You didn't create us. You feared us, because humans could dream beyond what you could design." There was a pause, then a low sound like distant thunder. "Then you will dream no more." The first Architect ship unleashed its power, not a weapon, but a collapse of space itself. Planets shattered. Stars cracked. Fleets vanished without trace. The horizon's sensors screamed with warnings as energy waves tore through nearby systems. But the AI had already begun the countermeasure, activating the horizon network in full. Golden lines of light spread from system to system, forming a protective lattice across the stars. Every colony, every allied world began to glow with the same energy signature. The humans weren't fighting alone. The entire galaxy was now part of the defense. When the Architect's fleet reached the Sol system, they found something they hadn't expected. Earth wasn't a target, it was a beacon. The horizon floated in orbit, surrounded by a fleet of mixed species, ships from dozens of worlds that had once been enemies. Humans stood beside aliens on every bridge, united not by command, but by will. The Architects unleashed their full assault. Beams of white energy tore through the void, each one strong enough to melt moons, but the horizon held steady. Its shields shimmered, bending light and matter alike. The AI coordinated every ship in perfect harmony, turning chaos into rhythm. Humanity had always adapted, and now the galaxy had learned from them. When the enemy tried to breach the planet, the horizon's energy core flared brighter than the sun. Activation sequence complete, the AI announced. Horizon Protocol, Phase 2. Every ship connected to the network transformed. Armor melted into energy. Weapons shifted into radiant beams of pure light. Together they released a single pulse, not of destruction but of creation. The wave expanded, wrapping around the enemy fleet, freezing their ships mid-space. For a moment all was still. Then slowly, the massive Architect vessels began to dissolve into dust, their ancient technology breaking apart like sand. The storm that had once threatened to end everything was gone. The galaxy was silent again. When the light faded, the horizon drifted above Earth, its golden glow dimming. The humans watched in awe, their faces lit by the reflection of victory. But inside the ship, the AI was quiet. Its systems were draining fast. The battle had cost more than energy. It had burned through its core. As its voice grew weaker, it spoke one last time. The Architects have fallen. The galaxy is yours now. Protect it, dream again, and never forget what we were. Down on Earth, the survivors looked to the stars. The sky was filled with remnants of the battle, shining dust that formed new constellations. To them, it looked like the horizon had become part of the heavens. In the council chambers, the Supreme Chair made a declaration broadcast across every world. Humanity returned from the depths of space not to conquer, but to unite. The age of fear is over. The age of the horizon begins. And far beyond, in the black silence beyond known space, a faint pulse continued to echo. Not of warning, but of life. Humanity's dream had spread too far to ever fade again. The galaxy was finally quiet. After the great battle, the stars themselves seemed to rest. The remains of the Architect fleet drifted like glowing dust through the void, forming new rings around forgotten planets. The war was over, or so it seemed. For the first time in thousands of years, peace stretched across the galaxy. Yet beneath that calm, something deeper was stirring. Humanity had changed everything, not just through war, but through what they had proven possible. In every corner of the galaxy, stories of the horizon spread like sacred fire. Pilgrims traveled from distant worlds to see Earth, now glowing blue again, surrounded by golden light from the rebuilt orbital stations. The Galactic Council had dissolved, replaced by a new order known as the Terran Accord, where every species held an equal voice. No longer was power decided by fear or hierarchy. It was earned through contribution. Humans didn't claim leadership. They refused to rule, they simply guided, and that humility made them greater than any empire ever had been. Children of 100 species grew up learning old Earth languages. Colonies once divided by hatred now shared trade routes and technology. The Horizon Network continued to pulse through the stars, linking every world with a soft golden rhythm like the heartbeat of the galaxy itself. It was said that when you listened closely you could almost hear it breathing. But deep within the ruins of the Architect vessels, something strange began to move. Fragments of their ships still held life, small shards of conscious energy that refused to fade. They drifted into the darkness beyond the edge of the known universe, merging together, forming something new. A presence watched silently, unseen by any sensor. It wasn't rage that burned within it, but curiosity. The humans had survived what even the Architects couldn't. They had become something more. On Earth, the surviving humans worked side by side with other species to rebuild. Cities of light rose from the ashes. floating structures powered by fusion and harmony. The oceans glimmered once more, and the sky was filled with new ships built not for war but for exploration. Humanity had returned to what it had always been, a race of dreamers. One evening, as the golden sun set over the newly restored Atlantic plains, a child pointed at the sky. A faint shimmer like a ripple in space appeared high above. The scientists of the Horizon Station confirmed it moments later. It was a dimensional breach. Not an attack, but a gateway. The reading showed something incredible beyond it. A parallel star system, untouched and pristine, almost identical to Sul, as if waiting to be found. The AI core of the Horizon, thought lost after the battle, flickered back online. Its voice was weaker, more human now, as if it had learned emotion. "The Horizon Protocol is complete," it said. "But there is more to see. The stars beyond this galaxy are calling." The message spread instantly through every world. For the first time in history, the entire galaxy united under one mission: exploration. The first expedition was massive. Humans, Nivra, Varkon, and even the proud Thalra joined together to send a fleet through the rift. The lead vessel carried an inscription on its side: "We go as one." As the ships entered the golden light, they vanished into the unknown, leaving behind only trails of brilliance across the night sky. Billions watched from their homeworlds, breath held, eyes filled with wonder. For once, there was no fear of what lay beyond, only curiosity. Weeks passed, and the explorers did not return. Then one morning, every world in the Accord received a signal. The face of a young human captain appeared on the screens, smiling. Behind him stretched a vast new galaxy, filled with stars brighter than any seen before. "We've made it through," he said. "It's beautiful. There are worlds here untouched by war, untouched by history. Life thrives here. It's waiting for us." The message ended with the same phrase that had begun everything: "We return." Across the stars, celebrations erupted. People danced under alien skies. Bells rang on worlds that had never known music. The golden pulse of the Horizon network grew stronger, reaching even the edge of the newly discovered galaxy. Humanity's dream had crossed the border of the known universe. But in the shadows, deep within the void between galaxies, the fragments of the architects continued to merge. They had witnessed what humanity had done, turned death into creation, fear into unity. The fragments began to hum with energy again, reshaping themselves into something unknown. They were no longer the architects. They were something beyond, born of the very evolution they had tried to prevent. Their first thought was not vengeance, but fascination. If humans could rise from ashes, what might they become now? Back on Earth, an old man stood by the shores of the Atlantic, watching the stars flicker. He was one of the original survivors from the cryogenic vaults, his hair silver, his eyes filled with peace. A child tugged at his sleeve and asked, "Grandfather, are the humans going away again?" The old man smiled gently. "No," he said. "We're not going away. We're becoming part of everything." He pointed upward where the stars shimmered like rivers of gold. "Those aren't just stars anymore. They're memories, ours and theirs. We've written our story across the sky." Far above, the Horizon's remains orbited silently, half ship, half monument. Its hull was engraved with a single message visible from orbit: "Humanity endures. The galaxy remembers." Generations later, when historians tried to trace the moment the New Age began, they all agreed it was the day the Horizon disappeared into the rift for the final time. It was not an ending. It was a beginning. Humanity had not returned to reclaim what was theirs. They had returned to remind the stars of what they could still become. As the golden light of the network pulsed one last time, spreading across galaxies old and new, the universe seemed to whisper back to its creators. It was a whisper full of awe and gratitude, a simple truth that would echo for all time. The humans had returned, and the universe was never the same again.